Bloomfield Collegiate Prep School is one of many throughout the province which teaches pupils from different cultural backgrounds. As the children learn and play together, the issue of race is one which is not questioned.
Well, I think that it's very good for all the children to mix with different cultures. When they do this at the earliest ages in their education, they look on it as a normal procedure and they don't think anything unusual in this.
Indeed, having pupils from various ethnic backgrounds in the school is an enriching experience for both children and teachers.
They don't really get a lot culturally at the very young age, but as they get older, they can therefore give back more to the class. And for example, we have a Chinese pupil who is very skilled at origami, and she has in fact taught many of her pupils, and also the teachers have learnt on many occasions how to do this intricate paper folding. And also as different cultures at times of the year, for example the Chinese New Year, she would explain to the rest of the girls in her class how her family celebrates this important time for them.
However, not all children from ethnic minorities are fortunate enough to enjoy a happy school environment.
My background is in teaching, and I think one of the things that has often startled me are the stories of the way in which children experience harassment and bullying on the grounds of their ethnic origin in schools. Now, not every child will, but too many do.
Local businessman Sunil Sharma experienced racism at an early age.
There was some very difficult times in secondary school through racial harassment and racial bullying. You get the name calling. I wasn't that large a person as well, so on top of that I was harassed for my not being a sort of substantial bloke, but really harassment in the class. You know, where's your homework? We want to see it. Ripping your homework up, and you know, general bullying outside school, on the sports field, and general name calling. And at times, you know, I said I was dreaded going into school because it was really done by maybe a handful of people. The majority of the school kids were fine. It was just a handful who participated in that sort of nastiness.
In education, as in many other aspects of life, the Irish traveller appears to be outside the system.
If you look at how few travellers in Northern Ireland have even finished primary education, virtually none of them have gone into second level. If you listen to travellers, what they will say is that the education system its aim is to churn out or to turn people out who will go into mainstream employment, who will do the kind of conventional things which the settled community want their children and young people to do. The travellers, on the other hand, have different expectations for education. They want their children to learn how to be a traveller. They want their children to be proud of their own heritage and identity.
Many adults from ethnic groups, meanwhile, find their education starts all over again because their English is limited.
It's also added stress when you live in another country and the culture shock and just trying to understand the system, trying to understand the other culture that you're living in. And we're looking at perception, beliefs and social learning, the kind of knowledge and experience that women have brought from their own culture, and trying to then apply some of those. Maybe you can apply some of those, maybe you need to re-look at what new things you need to learn to live in a culture outside your own.
But the people of Northern Ireland have a lot to learn about other cultures as well. And it seems the earlier those lessons are learned, the less chance we have of being racist.
It has to begin with the younger children because they will grow up to be the children of the future, and if they look upon it as normal, therefore there shouldn't be a problem of racism anymore in the future.
Yuk Chung is one of the growing groups of young people from the ethnic minorities here who are making their mark. He works in the highly specialised research and development department of Nortel Networks in Monkstown, Newton Abbey. When customers have a problem with a product, they contact Yuk and his colleagues.
Nortel's, because it's a worldwide company, it's have a more relaxed attitude towards work. It's not who you are, but what you can do, what your capabilities are.
Yuk came here to live when he was 7. His family opened up a Chinese carry-out.
Because we were basically first generation coming over here, when When we were kids, we spoke Chinese, but once we started going to school, we had to start speaking English. So we always spoke English in the house.
And did your parents pushed you to speak English?
Aye, pushed us to speak English so we could, basically get along in the community. They wanted me to work in the restaurant, yeah, but decided that I wanted to move out of that business and get into electronics. Joined here 10 years ago. Well, I've grown up here. As I said, I've lived here a long time, so most of my friends are Irish. Well, all of my friends are Irish, so they are.
Businessman Sunil Sharma's parents are Indian. He was born here and sees himself very much as part of the Northern Ireland community.
When my father came here, he came here as an immigrant to to see the country which ruled his country for 200 years from India. I have grown up here as a Northern Ireland citizen. To my dad, many sectarian issues were not his problem. To me, they are my problem because this is my home. Equality is a big issue all the time, but they have a lot of other things to say about the economy, about sport, about social deprivation, about the education system. We have a lot of things to say.
James Hawthorne is an equality and employment consultant and a race relations expert. He says these days racism here may not be obvious, but is still very much a problem.
If you dig deep, you will find that people or a lot of people here, an alarming number of people, who will tell you that there's no racism. But if you talk to them about race, about how they would feel if their daughter married a black man, or what about Chinese or African people coming next door, then you begin to discover that there are traditional attitudes. You know, I am not a racist, but they bring down the house values kind of attitude.
Olivia Okunaya is a student here. Her father, a doctor in Nigeria, studied at Queen's. She and her mother returned to Belfast after he died 4 years ago.
One thing I would say about the Northern Irish society is quite close-minded in terms of it's not as broad-minded as you'd like, you know, because once you've left one country and come to live in another country, you tend to be very broad-minded in some ways. So I find that the people here would be quite narrow-minded, but other than that, it's not bad.
Well, I wouldn't say things are getting better. I don't think it's changed too much here in Northern Ireland. There's still a bit of bigotry about, but normally if you keep out of trouble, they usually leave you alone.
Community workers discuss a programme aimed at helping travellers to become more aware of health issues. Whether the scheme gets the go-ahead or not will depend on funding. But the organisers say it's vital that the travelling community has access to information on health matters.
We have a community here who have been described previously by the Director of Public Health as living in conditions that may be amongst the worst in the UK. Travellers have the worst health profile of any community in Northern Ireland, with, if you like, adult life expectancies between 11 to 15 years below that of the settled community. We also have the death rate for children under 10 years is 10 times higher that of non-traveller children, and that's from a report by Dr. Gordon. There's also a very high rate of infant morbidity and hospitalisation, so we need to provide information to the traveller community that's going to help reduce those statistics. It's going to help provide them with information that they can take back to their whole community. And that's really the whole aim of this programme. We would actually like to have a group of traveller women at the end of the day who will take a lot of information back to the community and help this community become a safer, healthier community.
Parts of the problem with travellers is they would be hospitalised for things that we can control with medication. I mean, health would be your chest, would be sort of diarrhoea, those sorts of diseases that we can't control with medication, and it's because of their living in the damp. It's because of their sort of close facilities, close living conditions with no facilities that germ spread. So those are the reasons that travellers' children are more susceptible than the rest of us.
Other ethnic minorities encounter added difficulties, the language barrier being one. Nadette Foley of the Northern Ireland Multicultural Resource Centre says provisions need to be made within the health service to cater for those who don't speak English.
A lot of women would sometimes go to the doctor or to the hospital with their child, maybe a child of 10 or a teenager, and the child has better English than the mother, so the child is used as a translator. And while that happens out of a necessity, it doesn't mean it's a good thing. And we would want it to be normal that the services would think, oh, it isn't a good idea to use a child as a translator, particularly in medical or psychological or, very, very sensitive situations.
These women from different cultural backgrounds are learning how to deal with stress. Courses such as this make them better able to deal with everyday problems, including health issues.
Just coming here, registering with the doctor, trying to get your GP sorted out, dentist, opticians, there's a whole lot of health issues concerned here as well. Plus parenting, bringing up children, the bilingual, biracial, bicultural children. Some of them are married to Irish husbands here. So you've not only got bringing your own culture, but you're living in a bicultural, biracial household.
While the travellers remain the group most at risk, those who work with them say with a little help and encouragement, their situation can be improved.
Another small group now will be approaching a number of other ethnic minority communities in Northern Ireland to see how healthcare programmes have worked in their specific area. We are aware of the Chinese community have their lay health programme, and the traveller women will be in contact with them to discuss with them the experiences that they've had. We have a community that's expanding and growing, and obviously if this community is not learning enough about the health issues which are affecting their community, what can they do to prevent them? They have to be in a position to learn how to counteract those issues, and then how to grow and how to actually acclaim the health services that the settled community take for granted.